Hello, my friend. I want you to imagine something for a moment. You wake up tomorrow morning, step outside your home, and suddenly every thought in your head is in English. You don't need to translate. You don't pause. You don't search for words. You just speak. Naturally. Confidently. People listen to you and they understand you instantly. It feels so easy, almost like breathing. Now, I know what you might be thinking, that sounds impossible for me. But I want to tell you something, it's not impossible. In fact, it's exactly what happened to me. I wasn't born in an English-speaking country. I didn't have expensive teachers. But the moment I learned how to think in English, everything changed. It was not just an improvement in language, it was a transformation in my life. Today, I'm going to share with you the story of how I trained my brain to think in English, the struggles I faced, and the exact steps you can take to do the same. And if you stay with me till the very end, you won't just know the method, you'll be ready to start today. So, grab a cup of tea, relax, and let's go on this journey together. When I first started learning English, I thought it was all about memorizing words and grammar rules. I had notebooks full of vocabulary lists. I knew what past perfect meant. I could explain grammar rules better than some teachers. But there was one big problem: when I tried to speak, my brain froze. You see, I was thinking in my native language first, then translating everything into English in my head. By the time I found the right word, the conversation had already moved on. I felt embarrassed, slow, and honestly frustrated. One day, something strange happened. I was walking down the street, and I saw a little child drop his toy. Without thinking, in my head, I said, "Oh, he dropped it." It wasn't in my native language. It was in English. And it was fast. No translation, no effort. It just happened. That moment stayed in my mind. I started wondering, how can I make that happen all the time? I realized the problem wasn't my vocabulary or my grammar, it was my thinking. My brain was still wired to process my native language first. I had to rewire it. I had to live in English, not just learn it. The first thing I did was surround myself with English as much as possible. Every morning, instead of checking my phone in my native language, I switched my phone settings to English. My social media feed? English. The music I listened to? English. Even the shopping list on my fridge, all in English. It was like telling my brain, this is the new normal. But here's the tricky part: exposure is not enough. You can listen to English all day and still think in your native language. The real change happens when you start talking to yourself in English. Yes, I know it sounds a little crazy. But I would describe everything around me in English, in my head or out loud when no one was around. For example, if I was cooking, I'd think, I'm cutting the onions. The pan is hot. I need more salt. If I was walking, I'd think, the sun feels warm. The road is empty. That dog looks happy. At first, it was slow and awkward. But then something magical happened: my thoughts started forming directly in English. No translation needed. The second big change was stopping the fear of mistakes. You see, thinking in English requires freedom. If you're always worried about whether a sentence is perfect, your brain will go back to translating because it feels safer. I told myself, fluency is more important than perfection. I gave myself permission to make mistakes. And guess what? My brain relaxed. My words started flowing faster. Another trick I used was imaginary conversations. Before meeting someone, I'd practice in my head, what will they say? How will I respond? If I didn't know the word, I'd find another way to say it using words I already knew. This taught my brain to think in English without stopping. But here's something I didn't expect: the more I thought in English, the more confident I became, not just in language, but in life. Thinking in English made me more open to meeting new people, more curious about the world, and even more comfortable in my own skin. One night, I was at a small gathering. Someone I just met asked, "Where did you learn your English?" I smiled and said, "I live in English every day." They looked confused, so I explained, "It's not just about studying. It's about making English the language of your thoughts." That's when I realized, this wasn't just a language skill. It was a mindset. You might be wondering, can you really train your brain to think in English if you live in a non-English speaking country? The answer is, absolutely, yes. But you have to create an English environment inside your mind. Here's the simple method I used. 1. Start small. Every morning, think of one sentence about your day in English. For example, I will have coffee. 2. Add details. Later, make it longer. I will have coffee with milk because it tastes better. 3. Expand your day. Narrate what you see, feel, or do in English. 4. Talk to yourself, yes, even in the bathroom or while walking alone. 5. Don't stop for unknown words. Use simpler words you know instead of pausing to translate. Do this for a few weeks and you'll notice something strange: your brain will start preferring English for certain thoughts. That's the breakthrough. The beauty of thinking in English is that it works silently, all the time. Even when you're not speaking, your brain is practicing. And when the moment comes to speak to someone, the words are already there. Let me share one last story. I once helped a friend who was very shy and afraid to speak English. I told her to start thinking in English about small daily things. 3 months later, she called me, excited. "I was on the bus today, and I didn't even realize I was thinking in English until I got home." That's when I knew, this method works for anyone willing to try. So, my friend, thinking in English truly is the game changer. It's not about being perfect. It's not about knowing every word. It's about training your brain to live in the language you want to speak. If you make English the language of your thoughts, everything else will follow: fluency, confidence, connection. It won't happen overnight, but every time you describe what you see, every time you talk to yourself in English, you are building the future version of you, the one who speaks without fear. I want you to remember this: your brain is like a muscle. The more you use it in English, the stronger it becomes. And one day, without even realizing it, you'll speak naturally, like it's the most normal thing in the world. So start today. Right now. Look around you, pick one thing, and describe it in English. You've just taken the first step. Thank you for staying with me until the end. If this message has inspired you, share it with someone who needs it. And remember, live in English, think in English, and watch your world change. Goodbye.